Good morning, everybody. Morning, a few of the early birds jumping on. Morning, Alison, Sean, Brendan, James. Good to see you guys. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat on Friday. Friday. Fabulous day of the week. Good to see everyone jumping on. Let me know if you can hear me well. I think I've got my technology back on track. You wouldn't believe it. I had some internet issues. It wasn't internet, it was my Wi-Fi / internet to my office. I've got a studio up the back of my property where I live. I live on acreage, and my office is, a good chunk away from the house, a couple of hundred meters away from the house. And the internet to my studio was just absolutely rubbish. And I was troubleshooting for like days trying to work it all out. And found out the problem yesterday. You wouldn't believe it. I replaced the whole cable back to the house. And the problem was one small, minute broken wire right at my feet in my office. Anyway, there you go. There you go. Anyway, back on track. It's Friday, and welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Great to see all of you guys here. And today I wanted to jump in and have a little chat. I got a comment in the chat yesterday about consolidation and debt reduction. So we'll do that in a minute. But for those who are new, if anyone's new, dropping by, saying hello for the first time, chuck your name in the chat and say hello. Tell us where you're dialing in from, where you're live streaming in from. Great to have you here if you are new. And if you're returning, as always, welcome back. Great to have the regulars like Bob and Hardick and Brendan and Sean and Alison and the rest. Chris, good morning. Great to see you guys here. Fantastic to hang out as always. For the newbies, this is something we've been doing fairly regularly, 8:05, usually each day, 8:05 to 8:07-ish, kind of get the party started. Quick coffee chat and a talk about property investing. I've been property investing over 20 years, coaching property investors across Australia and New Zealand. Over 18, and there you go. So if you like this, then hello. Oh, hey, good morning, Beck, all the way from Gladstone. There you go. Wonderful Gladstone. How is it up there? It's a bit, getting a bit hot and muggy, isn't it, in Queensland right now? Anyway, enough talk about the weather. Let's get on with today's show. Which is about the idea of debt reduction and kind of how you do it. How do you transition from that consolidation space to the lifestyle space? So let's dive in. Let's have a bit of a chat. A Wealth Coffee Chat, matter of fact, about that as we go along. So you guys may have seen this before. If you're new, you may not have. But we talk about the investing process, a property investment process, probably any investment process, in the sense of there's three phases to what we do as we build our portfolio. The acquisition phase, just a fancy way of getting on with buying the things that you need to buy for the wealth and the cash flow you need. The consolidation phase. This is the most dangerous phase, by the way. This is where people lose faith. Think there's a faster, better, get-rich-quick scheme way, etc. So we'll talk about that in a minute. And the lifestyle phase. This is the phase where, we use our assets, our wealth that we've created to transform the way we live in the world. Do we have to go to work and exchange time for money? Do we stop working 1 day, 2 days, 3 days a week? Do we just buy a caravan and rack off for the rest of it? Whatever it is, whatever that is for you, this is where we sort of start to, put that plan together. So let's just quickly do a little recap on, how this concept works for those who are new and also for everyone here. All right, let's do this. For most people, we have an owner-occupier home, a PPR, principal place of residence. PPR, hopefully you can see that, and you have some sort of income, okay? And if you don't have a principal place of residence, you'll have some cash or some money to start investing with. So this is usually the starting point for all of us as investors. We start out with an asset, and the two assets that are pretty important to sort of get your head around are your income, how to make the most of it, and the asset that you have, which many of us aren't using very well. That I've done plenty of other videos on that, so be sure to check those out. So we start out and we go, all right, well, the number one thing I hear from a lot of people, and chuck it in the chat for me right now, and it's one of my most popular videos ever, when it comes to property and also mortgages and debt. A lot of people are conditioned to ask a question: how do I pay my home off sooner? Okay. Now, there's only one thing you can do, ladies and gents, to pay your home off sooner. There's no tricks to it. You basically have to make extra payments. That's it. But the problem is, for many of us, we don't have extra money left over at the end of our week and fortnight and month when it comes to our income and the consumption of our life. That's when you come and catch up with me and the coaches, and we say, hey, there's another way to think about this. And also in acquisition, if you want to build a life which is, you want some income, right? Because you want cash flow down here, team. You want cash flow, all right? You want dollars coming out to you like that magic Tim Tam packet. I don't know if everyone remembers that ad, the magic Tim Tam packet. Eat a Tim Tam and then there's another Tim Tam. I want one of those Tim Tam packets. So you want the cash flow down here. How do we use what we've got to get that cash flow? And the question that was asked yesterday is like, I've got some stuff, I've got some properties, I've got some debts, I've got some assets. How do I now transition from consolidation to lifestyle? And I was going to drop a few tips about that today. So let's quickly have a little look at what this might look like. You decide you want to grow some assets. You get on with the idea of purchasing some real estate investments, and over time, which might be, okay, this is usually between 3 and 10 years, what we call the acquisition phase, okay? Arranging your assets and your resources in a way you can deploy and maximize the value and the number of things that you own for your portfolio, e.g. number of properties, okay? Get busy buying, okay? What we do want is these properties to be positive cash flow. You want them to take care of themselves, and you don't want to have too much, negative cash flow impact on your lifestyle, which is fair enough. Over here in consolidation, sometimes what we need to have a look at is different to the acquisition phase, and that's what we're going to talk about today, right? So the idea for all of us right now is that our value, our wealth starts out with our PPR, with our investments, and over time, over a 15 to 20 year time frame, 15 to 20 year time frame, you would hope, you would often see your value that you create here. Let's call that $3 million worth of real estate in your acquisition phase. 3 mil turn into 6 mil over here, okay? After 20 years of owning the right bit of real estate, it goes from 3 mil to 6 mil. Okay, everyone cool with that? Okay, following along. Now, when we start out, the debts that we have on these properties, and let's just do a very rough calculation here when it comes to the debt ratio across all of your properties in your portfolio. If you think about, all right, what loan to value ratio would you sort of sit at, and have a look at, your portfolio. Let's just do, this is being a little bit of a, let's just do 90%. Let's do 90%, right, LVR across our portfolio and have a little look, right? So let's do 90% of our debt, right? So for the most part, in the beginning, our debt level stays the same. So 90% is 2.7 mil. Okay? Now we've talked about this. Those of you in the mentoring program, and you've listened to us before. The debt is, if you can do it in that first 5 to 10 years, all debt, if you are in acquisition phase, all debt becomes interest only, okay? Now, it doesn't mean you can't make extra payments or pay loans off, and that's another video I've done before, so I'm not going to go through that one. You put it in an offset account and so on. There's other ways to manage and control your money. You guys know this. So the debt is 2.7 mil. Now, folks, even if you never pay it off, which you won't be able to do 30 years of interest only in most circumstances, but imagine even if that debt stayed at 2.7 million, so 2.7 million, okay, you would now have a net worth of $3.3 million, okay? Now the gap over here is what creates the cash flow, okay? It creates the cash flow. The longer you go down here, the less the level of debt matters, okay? So everyone following along, good morning to Facebook user who popped by. Nice little coffee right there, which is good. So hopefully that's making sense, team, because the longer you leave this debt at whatever level, the more the value rises, the less the debt psychologically, emotionally, or financially matters in this space. Now, what will happen for most of us is we will be forced to pay our PPR, our principal place of residence, off. And for most of us, we would like to have that PPR debt reduced by about year 15 to year 20. So 15 to 20 is where you should have your zero debt on a PPR if you've got a 15-year runway starting today, okay? No stress if you haven't, by the way, right now. The other place, tell me, folks, if you're listening in right now, there are two places where you can debt reduce a bit of real estate quite quickly, and it makes sense to debt reduce the debt quite quickly. Okay, so one is your own home, and where's the other one? It's a bit of a trick question. Hey, thanks, Anthony. Yeah, the Samsung Flip, it's called, and it's a very cool whiteboard, so I quite enjoy it. It's a good one. So tell me, team, do you know how do we own? What's another way you can accelerate? Boom, Chris, boom. Equity arbitrage, yes, Hardik, that is another way. And business for sure, yeah. Okay, a self-managed super fund, you have to make contributions to the super anyway. Imagine 10, 12, 15, $27,500 a year, and you get a tax deduction for putting that money in. You pay a debt off, which owns a piece of real estate in super, and inside of super, when you retire, it's tax-free and income tax-free. Not a bad little idea. All right, a couple of the other ones there, which was good. Hardik talked about equity arbitrage. I love, love, love equity arbitrage for accelerating your debt reduction on your home, okay? We won't talk about that one today, but if you want to know what equity arbitrage is, team, it's an absolute fantastic strategy. And someone said business. Yeah, for sure. Many business owners can own some real estate that they run their properties, their businesses out of. I own 2 commercial properties where I run my business from, and my business pays those properties off faster than I would with after-tax dollars because we pay with pre-tax dollars. Okay, cool. Good, excellent stuff. There you go, team. And also, if you guys didn't know, if you're a business owner, you can get up to $2 million capital gains tax-free for a piece of real estate in your future if you sell it as if you're structured properly. Anyway, that's another video I've done before. Anyway, there we go. I'm getting a bit excited and distracted. Okay, so down here, how do we accelerate cash flow? How do we transition from this consolidation phase to the cash flow phase? And there's a couple of things. Good question, Nigel. The short answer, Nigel, is no. They're not that comfortable. But there's a but, in that answer. Nigel, it depends on the loan to value ratio of your portfolio. Now, when you have your properties with much more equity than you want to borrow, okay? So Nigel, imagine this. You've got $5 million worth of real estate. You've got $1 million worth of debt, right? That's a 20% loan to value ratio. I would be able to get you an interest-only loan at 20% loan to value ratio every day of the week. Not a problem. No one's going to cry in their soup about it, right? But Nigel, if you had $1 million worth of real estate and $900,000 worth of debt and you were 60 years old, no one will touch that with a barge pole. Okay, so hopefully that answered your question, Nigel. Good question, mate. Thank you for the question. So, team, we're traveling along in our life. We've acquired some of our real estate. We've got some other assets. I'm sure some shares and bits and pieces. So over here, if you have a look at this, our net result right now. What are we on here? Let's do this. In this section here, and most likely, by that stage, our debt would have reduced a smidgen. Okay, we might have reduced some of our debt in our home. We might have reduced some of our debt if we own real estate in a self-managed super. So let's look at that. So let's look at this result here. We have a good chunk of value in this section here. So let's call that, that might be 2.5 million of equity value right now that we have in our portfolio. So we've got a choice. We have a choice at this stage. And let's just say we have $1 million worth of debt left over here. So we have two choices. I'm going to make this a bit bigger so we can talk about it. Oop. Number one, at this stage, consolidation, you can sell some properties. Okay, that is no issues with that. And some of the property investors, that's a smart maneuver. For most of you who are able to, in the acquisition phase, acquire a few more properties than you need. So let me say this a little bit better. If you can get to sort of 6, 7, 8, 10 properties, team, this sell process later on, spot on. If you want to eliminate debt and that's your goal, okay? But if you're over here and you get sort of 1, 2, 3, 4 properties, and there's nothing wrong with that part either, like if you only get a small acquisition done, the sell part at this point actually is not the smartest move, okay? So hopefully so if you've got sort of 5 or less properties, I would say don't sell. If you've got, 8 plus properties, if you've got 5 or less, selling works. I just wanted to put that there. Yeah. And Barley's already onto it. You're stealing my thunder, Barley. You're stealing my thunder. Okay, let's run with Barley or Bailey. Barley. Let me know if it's that. If I've got it right. So if you are going to sell, then there's a couple of places, a couple of things you can sell for debt reduction, right? And Barley's onto it, right? So you go, right, you can sell your principal place of residence, PPR. Now, tell me right now, you guys, yeah, it's like the island. Oh, cool, mate. Tell me right now, what is our strategy with our principal place of residence team? Tell me, what is the strategy if we're starting out now-ish what is the strategy with your principal place of residence? Tell me what it's called, and if you don't know, I'll let you know in a second. But what is the strategy? It's a 3 times strategy for your PPR. What is that? Tell me what it is. All right. Hardik asked me a question. SMSF, is it good or when to set up? Hardik, it's a good question. It all depends, obviously. I think it's amazing. It's the most tax efficient way to own an asset we have access to in Australia. So yes, it's awesome. There is some limitations of what you can own and how much you can get in there, Hardik, okay? But reach out to your coach, Hardik, and they'll connect you with the right qualified person to have a bit of a chat, okay? Boom, Chris. Chris nailed it. Ladies and gents, and this is kind of for you, Bali. Every single one of you should upgrade your principal place of residence 3 times in a 20 to 30 year period, okay? Now, that's kind of a rough rule. If you live in a place you love, right? If you live in a place you love, like me, where I live right now, I absolutely love. I have no intention of moving. What do? You can still do the principal place of residence upgrade. My house here now is starting to get a bit old. When we moved here, it was about 12 years old. Now, 13 years later, it's getting pretty long in the tooth. It's 25 years old. My wife and I, boom, Karen, on it. My wife and I now have plans to renovate our property in the next few years. And the neighborhood has accelerated so fast in value. We have now the house that is on our property now, we've got a lot of land, is not the highest and best use. Sam talked about this before, okay, team? So at some point, when we renovate our property, we can add well over $1 million worth more value to our real estate by upgrading the property, the house on the land. Okay, hopefully that made sense to you guys. If you are living in a small house now, in 10 years' time, you need to move to a bigger house in a better neighborhood, because Bali is right. If your PPR was worth, $800,000 now, you need to upgrade it to a 1.6 million next. Then after that, you need to upgrade it to a 3.2 million. That's the process. Anyway, getting a bit distracted today. I'm enjoying this chat with you guys. There you go. If you don't have a principal place of residence, that's not the end of the world. I would highly encourage you to get one at some point, because it is the only piece of real estate in your own name you will ever be able to have a tax-free sale on, okay? There you go. So team, hopefully that's making sense. Upgrade your principal place of residence a number of times. Over here, you sell your PPR. And the other one is property, real estate, any asset at a certain stage in your SMSF is capital gains tax-free also. So you can have some tax-free sales that can reduce your debt, okay? I do not like the idea of selling your investment properties, because they are the ones creating the cash flow, okay? So if you're selling, think about how can I be efficient, okay? The other way, which I prefer, is that you do equity arbitrage, okay? Borrow money from your wealth here, your $2.5 million worth of wealth, and borrow it at 3% and invest it where you can get 8, 10, 15, 20% return per annum on that capital. Boom, happy days. You can use it to accelerate the rest of the debt if you want, or you could just live off it if you want to, okay? So I thought I was going to be able to get through this one today in good time. I've even got a spreadsheet to show you guys, but I've run out of time. So this is a good chat today. So looks like it's bringing up a few great questions. So, yep, Karen, absolutely, mate. Buy well, never sell relates to your PPR. Totally does. Owning a good principal place of residence that at some point in the future you would sell capital gains tax free. Listen to me, folks. Everyone will sell their home at some point. And if your PPR over here, if you're 70, like I've got acreage here, like, I mean, at some point I'm going to be sick of the place. It's too big. You know, we're going to rattle around in it, right? When I sell it, mate, not a cent of tax on this thing. I'm going to be boom. Like, that's going to be a $6 million exit tax-free when I'm 70. And along the way, right, I'm going to get all these other benefits. Everyone, all of you guys can make sure you've got a version of that in your future, okay? As you go. Awesome. Yeah, Alison, it is a little bit more challenging with the Army. There are some rules with the Army in your principal place of residence, Alison, that you get some, you're allowed a little bit more leeway. And Alison, just so you know, by the way, there is a reset. There's a 6-year PPR reset. You live there for 1 year. You've only got to move back there literally for a week. There's no rules around this. Within 6 years to reset it for another 6 years, and it's still your PPR capital gains tax free. Just so you know. So Alison, maybe we can chat about what that looks like, because there's some very smart ways to do it. All right. Lisa, 49, just bought your first PPR. That's awesome. Yeah. Oh, you did right, Lisa. The equity creation at the moment is just off the charts, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, nice, Barley. All over the 6-year rule. Good work, mate. There you go. Karen, is all SMSF sales capital gains tax free? Only when it's pension phase, Karen. Only when it's pension phase, okay? But it's quite low at this point as well. Capital gains tax in a super fund is 10%, even in accumulation phase. There you go. Bob, you can join some of the equity arbitrage opportunities that we're doing in the mentoring program. Make sure you reach out to your coach, Bob. They'll let you know if you can jump on a few of those. We're doing them. So yeah, give us a shout out, mate, if you want the 20% returns. We just finished one of the equity arbitrage projects, 21.6% return to our clients. Pretty nice. So yeah, away you go. No one wants to live in Lake Weirdo anyway. You're dead right. There you go. Janelle, you got to rent out your home and move into a cottage on the property. Boom. That's awesome. Janelle, make sure you do a valuation, or even a desktop valuation or an RP data valuation on the day you move out. Folks, make sure you collect like a physical paperwork valuation on your own home every year, because it's important when your accountant asks, oh, what was it worth in 2022, and they want to calculate certain things, Janelle, you'll need that. Away you go. Perfect. All right, team. Great to hang out and chat with you guys. Thanks for being active in the chat. It's always awesome to get some engagement. Yeah, I'm a bit over time now, but hopefully it was worth it. Looks like it's a worthwhile chat. Anyway, guys, that's it. Wealth Coffee Chat done and dusted. You guys be awesome. Be well. We will be... Andy and I, we haven't done a Wealth, Wine and Wisdom for a couple of weeks because we've been in a couple of courses. But if you're up for it, we do another Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, a full hour breakdown of what's been in the news this week, team. So let us know. Thanks, Julie and Hardik and Graham. Great to see you guys. Alison, Janelle. Yes, Alison, Wealth, Wine and Wisdom is on. It's on. Anyway, I better go. Better let you go. Sure, we've all got work to do somewhere. All right, folks. You guys be awesome. Have a good one. See you at Wealth, Wine and Wisdom if you're there.